Thank you for joining us today for our interactive presentation about plants. My name is Jamie, and this presentation is brought to you by the Oahu Invasive Species Committee. Today, we're going to be learning a few different things. First, different parts of plants, then how they get their food, and finally, how they get their names. Throughout this presentation, we're going to be asking some interactive questions. These questions are meant to be fun and help you remember what you're learning. Only I can see your answers, and they won't be graded, so just answer them the best that you can. Take a look at these two photos. Which one do you like more? A, with no plants, or B, with lots of greenery? Go ahead and answer. Did you say B? If you did, then I'd have to agree with you. I like the photo with all the plants. In fact, I think most people would say B because plants do a lot of good things for us. What are some of the benefits that you think plants provide us? Do you think they give us shade or clean air? Do they provide habitat for animals or materials for us to build our homes? Or do you think they do all of these things? They do all of these things. Plants are awesome and provide us with a ton of different benefits. So what is a plant? Plants in general are a large group of living things that use sunlight to make their own food through a process called photosynthesis. During that process, plants use a green pigment called chlorophyll to absorb energy from sunlight. Plants come in so many different shapes and sizes. They can be really tall, like a 300-foot redwood tree in California, or really small, like a tiny little piece of moss. They can be grasses, trees, vines like the ones you might have in your backyard, or they can be the fruits and vegetables that you love to eat, or even ferns and mosses that you see in the forest. Those are all plants. Now let's talk about some basic parts of the plant. So most plants have roots, leaves, flowers, fruits, and a stem. So we're going to play a guessing game where you get to guess which part of the plant the arrows are pointing to. So what's this one? I'll give you a hint. This part makes food for the plant by using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. This is the process I mentioned earlier called photosynthesis. It's the plant's leaves. Leaves also release oxygen, which is what we breathe. How about this part? This part's like a straw, drawing up water, nutrients, or food to help deliver it to the other parts of the plant. It's the stem. The stem also holds up the leaves, flowers, and fruits. Now, can you name this part? It acts like a sponge, absorbing all the nutrients and water from the soil. It's the roots. The roots also hold the plant in the soil so it doesn't blow over or wash away, kind of like an anchor. You might think of this part of the plant as a very pretty one, and sometimes it even smells really nice. It's the flower. The flower helps the plant reproduce by attracting insects with their pollen and nectar. Okay, last one. This is the tastiest part of a plant. Which do you think that would be? It's the fruits. The fruits can actually grow with seeds inside of them, and they protect those seeds as they grow. So when birds or animals eat the fruits, the tasty parts of the plant, they eat the seeds too. Those seeds stay in their system until they poop them out, and that's how a lot of seeds get spread around. Now let's dive a little deeper into the process of photosynthesis. Photo means light, and synthesis means to put together. So photosynthesis can be translated to put together with light. Like we mentioned already, leaves use photosynthesis to make food by using a chemical process that uses sunlight to turn carbon dioxide, which is what we breathe out, into sugars that the cell can use for energy. In turn, the leaves release oxygen for us to breathe in, as well as plants. Many kinds of algae, protists, and bacteria also use photosynthesis to make their food. Question: choose the item that is not involved in photosynthesis. Is it carbon dioxide, sunlight, fruits, or leaves? The answer is fruits. Fruits play an important role in plants' reproduction, but not in photosynthesis. And speaking of reproduction, did you know that all living things have a life cycle? Can you believe that even your mom and dad started out their life cycle as babies? Well, most plants start out as seeds. Seeds hold a tiny plant with its own food supply inside of it. With enough space, water, and sunlight, the seed begins to grow into a stem with a few leaves called a sprout. That sprout gets taller with more leaves, and the roots continue to spread out. And finally, that plant continues to grow and becomes a mature adult plant and develops flowers that contain pollen. Pollen is the genetic material needed for the plants to reproduce. Plants need pollinators like insects and birds to help distribute that pollen so they can make more fruits and seeds. Now let's talk about how plants move around. Have you heard of the 3 W's? Go ahead and guess what you think the 3 W's stand for. Would it be witches, warlocks, and water? Wind, water, and wing? Or whisk, wash, and wing? If you said wind, water, and wing, you are right. In Hawaii, we also say the 3 M's for makani, moana, and manu. Seeds get blown around by the makani or the wind, and some seeds even have special features like little hairs designed to help them blow in the wind. Some seeds can float around in the moana or the ocean water. They float around until they wash up somewhere on shore. You may have seen these mangrove seed pods, the brown and green ones pictured here in someone's hand at the bottom. You may have seen these floating around. Mangroves love to grow along shorelines, and while they are helpful, in some parts of the world, they are an invasive plant here in Hawaii. If you see a mangrove seed pod, be sure to snap it in half to keep it from invading into any other of our other shorelines. The 3rd M is for manu, or bird. Seeds can move around on birds' wings or even inside of them. Birds love to eat fruit, and when they swallow the seeds, they poop them out somewhere else. Seeds can also hitchhike or get attached to a bird, just like when you walk by a plant and a seed gets attached to your shoe or pants. Knowing how things move around and reproduce is very important to keeping our environment healthy. We study plants to learn more about them, and that study has a name. Can you tell me what it's called? Would it be called phycology, plantology, botany, or green studies? It's called botany. Botany is the study of plants, and scientists that study plants are called botanists. Let's take a look at these 2 trees. Do they look the same? I think they look pretty different, but both of them share the same common name, ironwood. The same common names are often used in different areas for different plants, and some plants even have many different common names. Because botanists are studying plants from all over the world, they need a way to identify them, even if they have different common names. How do they do that? They use scientific names. This helps organize the plants and helps them from getting confused. You can see here, even though these trees are both called ironwood, their scientific names are very different. So what do scientific names mean? Scientific names are from the Latin language and are a way, like I said, for scientists or botanists to organize plants. Each one gives you hints about the plants. Sometimes it's physical characteristics, or sometimes it's where the plant is found. For example, casuarina comes from the word cassuri, which is a bird with droopy feathers. Equestrifolia means horsehair, so if you put the 2 together, it means droopy horsehair. I can see the resemblance. Now let's look at the other ironwood scientific name, Ostrea virginia. Ostrea means bone-like. Bones are hard and strong, just like this plant's wood, which is difficult to cut through and even used to make fence posts. The second part of the name, Virginiana, means from Virginia, which is where this plant might be found. So when you hear the scientific name, remember each one has a meaning. Try to think about what you can learn from the meaning and about the plant. Now let's review what we learned today. Plants make food by a process called photosynthesis. Plants come in all different shapes and sizes. Pollinators, like birds and bees, are important for plants to reproduce. Botany is the study of plants. Don't forget, a scientist that studies plants is called a botanist. And scientific names help to organize plants and also animals. Right, so that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed learning about plants with us. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us at oisc@hawaii.edu. And if you want to learn more with us, you can visit our website, www.oahuisc.org. Mahalo.